Good morning, friends. Today we'll be studying about the refractory errors of eye. We see so many people all around us with spectacles, wearing spectacles. These are the few famous personalities wearing spectacles. Some wear it for constant use, some wear it while reading only. And many of you have seen your grandparents and parents taking glasses or wearing glasses while reading newspapers or doing some neo work. So these all are refractory errors, and that we'll be studying today. We start this class with the objectives that at the end of this session, the student should be able to describe the formation of image in eye and the basic principles of optics of vision, enumerate different types of refractory errors, explain the optics of these refractory errors, and explain the physiological basis of their correction or treatment. So just to revise the principles of optics, we'll see what is refraction of light. What is it? It's the bending of light when it passes from one medium to another at an angulated interface. Remember, this angulated interface is very important. If the interface is perpendicular to the light beam, as in first figure, then there will be only change in the velocity of light and no bending of light. But if this interface is placed at an angulated way, then there will be bending of light. So if it is traveling from lighter medium to denser medium, it will be bent towards the normal. If it is from denser to lighter, then it will be away from normal. So this bending of light, when it travels from one medium to another, is known as the refraction of light. As we all know that the velocity of light is 300,000 kilometers per second in air, and it reduces as it travels into the denser medium. So the ratio of velocity of light in air and the velocity of light in that particular medium is known as the refractive index. As we see for glass, the velocity of light is 200,000 kilometers per second. So the velocity of light in air and to that of glass comes out to be 1.5. So the refractive index of glass is 1.5. Similarly, for water, it is around 1.36 or so. Now we'll discuss what is the diopteric power. What is the power of a lens? We can see here there are 2-3 lenses which are being shown. This is the converging lens. Second figure is the converging lens or the convex lens, where you can see the curvature is on the outer side. What is a converging lens or a convex lens? When the parallel rays coming from a distant object strikes the lens and it bends to converge at a point, and the point at which it converges is known as the focal point. And the distance between the center of this length or the nodal point and this point of convergence is known as the focal length. Distance between nodal point and the focal point is known as the focal length. And 1 upon focal length in meters is known as the diopteric power of that lens. This third figure is that of a diverging lens. So when the parallel rays coming from a distant object strike to this lens, it diverges away. And if we extrapolate these diverging lines to a virtual point, so that it seems that light is diverging from this point, and that point is known as the focal point of this diverging lens. Similarly, for this is the cylindrical lens in which the parallel rays coming from distant object are focused at a plane rather than at a point. So these are the different types of lenses. What is the refractive index of a medium, what is refraction of light, and how we calculate the power of a lens. Now, in human eyeball, we are mainly concerned with because the curvature is on the outer side, we are mainly concerned with the converging lens or the convex lens. So this is how an image is formed in a converging lens. A real inverted image is formed. We can see here, and this is the picture which compares the different diopteric powers of different lenses. We see if the curvature increases, the focal length decreases, and the diopteric power will increase. 1, 2, and 3. We can compare these figures. Thinner the lens, more is the focal length, less is the diopteric power. Thicker the lens or more the curvature of the lens, less will be the focal length and more will be the diopteric power of the lens. Now coming to the human eye, what is the visible spectrum to human eye is 380 to 740 nanometers wavelength of light can be visualized by human eye. Beyond that, human eye cannot appreciate the colors or cannot appreciate the presence of light. And we can see that we have already studied the anatomy of human eye, and we know that there are 4 refractive interfaces. First one between air and the cornea. Second one between the back surface of cornea and the aqueous humor present in the, you can see this present in the anterior chamber. Third interface is between the aqueous humor and anterior curvature of lens. And fourth one is between the posterior curvature of lens and the vitreous humor. As we can see in this figure, there are 4 interfaces in human eye. So it behaves as a camera. There are multiple refracting surfaces with different refractive indexes. Light travels from air, which is having the refractive index of 1, then through cornea with the refractive index of 1.38, aqueous humor with the refractive index of 1.33, lens with the refractive index of 1.4, and vitreous humor with the refractive index of 1.34. So there are different refractive surfaces through which the light has to pass. So to study and for simplification, what we have done is we have considered the eye with a single refractive surface. If we consider the eye having a single refractive surface, then it is known as the reduced eye, and the dioptric power of reduced human eye is normal human reduced eye. The dioptric power is 59 diopters. That means the image is formed in the retina, at the retina, and that is the focal plane. So this point, macula lutea or the fovea centralis, that is the focal point for eye as a lens. And if we see the refractive surface, if we consider a single refractive surface, it is 17 millimeters in front of this retina. 1/17 millimeters or 0.017 meters, that is 59 diopters, is the, so somewhere in the anterior chamber, if we consider it as a single refracting surface, it lies somewhere in the anterior chamber, 17 millimeters in front of the retina. And we can see that out of this 59 diopters, the major contribution of the dioptric power of eye is through cornea. Why it is so? In spite of more refractive index of the lens, because this lens is placed between 2 fluids which is having the comparable refractive index as that of lens, so the maximum bending or maximum refraction or the maximum power of eye is achieved through cornea, because the difference, you can see the difference between the refractive indexes of air and cornea is quite more as compared to aqueous humor and lens, also the lens and vitreous humor. So in fact, the lens, crystalline lens which is placed in the eye contributes to just 1/3 of the dioptric power of eye, that is around 20 diopters. Major contribution of this 59 diopters is through cornea. So main refracting surface of eye is cornea. So we can see how the light travels into the eye. It passes through the cornea, which is a transparent structure as we all know. Then it passes through the pupil. You know, there is the opening which controls the amount of light entering into the eye through sphincter pupillae and dilator pupillae muscle. And through pupil it enters into the anterior chamber, that is the aqueous humor, then to the lens, anterior surface, posterior surface, then through vitreous humor, and ultimately the image is formed on the retina. So this is how eye works, and this is the optics of a human eye. In this figure you can see this is an object which is placed at a certain distance. It is known as the far object, and when the light rays falls, the image is formed, which is real and inverted image, and it is formed on the retina. Now how this real inverted image is perceived as an erect image is done by our brain. The brain is trained to interpret these inverted images as an erect one. So the image formed is real and inverted image, but because the brain is trained that way, so during the interpretation process in the brain, this is perceived as an erect image. So this is how the image of a distant object is formed on the retina, which is at the focal plane of the eye. Now what happens? This is a distant object. Now what happens if the object comes near to it? Ideally, if this object comes near to the eye, the image should have formed behind the retina. But this does not happen. To focus a nearby object, there are different changes that takes place in the eye, and that is known as the different adjustment in the optical system of the eye that takes place to adjust the image to be focused on retina is known as accommodation. You can compare these two pictures. The first picture, the object is placed at far distance and the image is inverted, real image is forming on the retina. And when the object comes near, ideally the image should have focused behind the retina. If these conditions persist, first figure condition persists, then image should have formed behind the retina. But there are adjustment that takes place, and there is when the importance of this crystalline lens comes into the vision. What happens is the ciliary muscles contracts, which leads to relaxation of the suspensory ligaments or the zonules, and you can compare the curvature of the lens in these two figures. In the second figure, when the object is near to the eye, then what happens is the curvature of the lens increases. The anterior curvature of the lens increases due to contraction of ciliary muscles. What happens is when ciliary muscles contract, the suspensory ligaments or the zonules, they loosen out. And that increases the anterior curvature of the lens. You can see the curvature of lens in these two figures, and this is the main change, and that is what the importance of this lens is, that it increases or decreases the curvature as per the distance of object from the eye. If distance is far off, then it will be, ciliary muscles will be relaxed, zonules will be tight, and the lens will be having lesser curvature. If the object comes nearer to the eye, what happens is ciliary muscle contracts, these zonules or suspensory ligaments laxes or relax, which increases the anterior curvature of the lens, or the dioptric power of this lens increases, and it behaves as more converging lens. It converges the lights. So initially the image which was formed behind the retina is now focused on the retina due to this accommodation, and these adjustment in the eye optical system that takes place is known as the accommodation. Now we'll see what is the mechanism of accommodation. One, I have already told you, there is increase in the anterior curvature of the lens. So with contraction of, these are ciliary muscles, these are the suspensory ligaments. You can see the suspensory ligaments. So the arrangement is such, this is the cross section, the below figure is the cross section. The arrangement is such that when these ciliary muscle outside contracts, these suspensory ligaments becomes loose or they loosen up, and that increases the anterior curvature of the lens, which was initially stretched upon by these suspensory ligaments. With contraction of these ciliary muscles, this becomes loosened out, and the curvature of the lens, anterior curvature of the lens increases, increasing the dioptric power of the eye. Now what is the amplitude of accommodation? The maximum power of eye that can be increased when the object is brought near to the eye, and that is around 14 diopters for a normal eye. So your the lens refractive power is around 20 diopters. When the object comes nearer to the eye, due to increase in the anterior curvature, it reaches up to 34 diopters. So the refractive power which is contributed the eye when it is fully accommodated or when ciliary muscles are completely contracted, it is around 34 diopters. Now there is a range of accommodation also, which is far point minus the near point. What is far point? Is the farthest point at which if the object is placed, the image is formed at the retina. For a normal eye, for an emmetropic eye, this far point lies at infinity. So actually if the object is placed at infinity, the image will be formed on the retina with ciliary muscles completely relaxed. So that is emmetropic or a normal eye, and that is the far point. With certain conditions, certain refractive errors, these far point comes nearer. In nearsightedness, we'll see in later slides that how this far point comes nearer to the eye in myopia. What is near point? It is the nearest point at which the object is placed, and with complete accommodation or complete contraction of ciliary muscles, the image is formed on the retina, and normally this near point lies at around 25 centimeters from the eye, or say 10 to 11 inches, and that is the normal reading distance for a person, for a normal eye. So we know what is a far point and what is a near point. Farthest point at which if the object is placed and image is formed on the retina with ciliary muscles completely relaxed is the far point, and the nearest point at which if the object is placed and the image is clearly focused on retina when ciliary muscles are completely contracted or accommodation is complete, that is known as the near point. So one change which I have already told you during accommodation, there are three changes actually that takes place during accommodation. First one is the contraction of ciliary muscles and the relaxation of zonules or the suspensory ligaments, which I have already explained to you. With contraction of these ciliary muscles outside, these zonules or suspensory ligament relaxes, and that increases the bulging of this lens or anterior curvature of this lens increases, which increases the dioptric power of eye by 14 diopters. So that is the first and foremost important change that takes place when an object is brought nearer to the eye. The second change that takes place is contraction of sphincter pupillae or the constriction of pupil. Normal pupillary diameter can change from 1.5 millimeters to around 8 millimeters, and this can control the amount of light around 30 folds. So the variation of amount of light which is entering into the eye can change by 30 times by this pupillary diameter. And we all know which system, parasympathetic system, is the one that controls the constriction of pupil. Sympathetic system has got a very limited role or very insignificant role in process of accommodation or controlling the pupil diameter. It is mainly the parasympathetic system that controls the diameter of pupil. So that is the second change that takes place during accommodation, contraction of sphincter pupillae or constriction of pupil. And the third change that we see is the convergence of eye, contraction of medial rectus muscle. So contraction of medial rectus and both the eyes comes towards the nasal side, or there is a convergence of eyes. Contraction of medial rectus, medial movement of eyeball is seen. So these are the three changes. Just note down what happens to the eyes. If you closely observe, you can find all these changes. Of course, the anterior curvature of lens you cannot see, but there is constriction of pupil, there is convergence of eyeballs that can be seen whenever a person sees a nearby object. This is known as accommodation. Now, what is presbyopia? It is an age-related condition. What I have initially told you, the grandparents or the old age people at around 40 to 45, their near point recedes. They cannot see the nearby objects clearly because of the changes in the lens that happens with the advancing age. There is a constant degeneration of or denaturation of the lens protein, which makes this lens more harder, more thicker, more larger and less elastic. Also, there is weakening of these ciliary muscles. With advancing age, there is weakening of these ciliary muscles. The changes of anterior curvature of lens are not that prominent. So what happens is the range or the amplitude of accommodation, which was 14 diopters at young age, reduces to just 2 diopters at 40 to 45 years of age. And that is the age at which we say that old age glasses now have come. And people need glasses for near vision. You must have seen your parents asking for their reading glasses when they read newspaper. Because of these age-related changes, and accommodation becomes weaker, eyes can no longer accommodate for near and far vision. At the age of 70 years, this amplitude of accommodation becomes absolutely zero, and they cannot accommodate at all because of this changes in the lens protein. And what is the correction is giving the bifocal glasses or the progressive glasses. Progressive glasses are given in which there is, according to distance, the dioptric power of the glasses will change from upper surface to the lower surface. So the lower part is used for near vision. When they see down, the lower part or the higher dioptric power of lens is used. And when they are seeing far objects, lower dioptric power are used. And that is known as the bifocal glasses or the progressive glasses. Now, before discussing the refractory errors, let's see what is an emetropic eye or what is emetropia, that is normal eye or normal vision. That means that when parallel rays from distant objects are coming and focusing on the retina, they are in the sharp focus at the retina with ciliary muscles completely relaxed. No accommodation should be used when these images are focused on the retina, and such an eye is known as emmetropic eye. And of course, for near vision, they are using their complete accommodation. 14 diopter power is increased to focus the object nearby on retina. So such an eye in which distant objects are also focused on retina with ciliary muscles completely relaxed, and the nearby objects are also focused on retina with ciliary muscle completely contracted or with full range of accommodation. This is known as an emmetropic eye or a normal eye or normal vision. Now, what are the errors of refraction? Just to enumerate these: myopia or the nearsightedness, as the name is suggesting. You can see myopic person can see the nearby objects very clearly, but unable to focus the distant objects on retina. So there is blurring of image or there is haziness of image when they try to see the distant objects. Hypermetropia or hyperopia or farsightedness, in which the person can easily focus the distant objects on retina, but the problem lies with the nearby object. When they try to focus the nearby object, the image is formed behind the retina. Third one is the astigmatism, again, which is very commonly seen. What happens in astigmatism is the lens is not completely spherical, but it is oblongated or it is having different focal length or different power in different planes. So light falling from different planes does not focus at a point, but at different planes they focus. So for correcting this, you need to have the cylindrical lens. We'll see what is astigmatism in detail later. Presbyopia, which we have already seen, it is an age-related condition, and the problem lies with seeing the nearby objects. What we see in our parents and grandparents who require glasses when they are reading newspaper or so. So that is presbyopia, an age-related condition where there is problem with accommodation. Person cannot accommodate while seeing the nearby object. And there are then spherical aberration, chromatic aberrations and diffractions, which are physiological refractory errors. Now coming to the myopia, what is myopia is, as this figure is showing, when parallel rays coming from a distant objects are focused in front of retina. You can see the image is formed in front of retina, and on retina there is some scattering of these light rays. That is why the image formed on retina or the image perceived is hazy or blurred, and image is formed in front of retina with ciliary muscles completely relaxed. So ciliary muscles are not functioning, still the image formed of a distant object is in front of retina. So myopia is defined as a condition in which the parallel rays coming from a distant object are focused in front of retina with ciliary muscles completely relaxed. So what happens is, such persons can see the near objects clearly. They don't have any problem in seeing the nearby objects, but difficulty in viewing the distant objects. You must have noticed many students or many small kids having problems viewing the blackboard from the back benches. So that is because of myopia or nearsightedness. They have difficulty in viewing distant objects, and distant objects are focused in front of retina. And the image which is formed on the retina, as you can see, because of this scattering of light, it is a blurred image. So when they see the distant objects, the image formed will be blurred. Now what are the causes of myopia? It is genetic. Of course, it runs in the families. If parents or grandparents, they are having these glasses, then children are likely to have, so there is a genetic disposition of this condition, myopia. It runs in families. Then there can be axial cause, there can be refractional cause, and there can be positional cause. What is axial cause is too long eyeball, when the anteroposterior diameter of eyeball is big. So you must have noticed those who are wearing glasses or having very high number, they have a bulging eye. That is due to increase in the anteroposterior diameter, and that is why the refractive power also increases and the image is formed in front of retina. So that is one cause, or the axial myopia. Next one is the refractional myopia, in which either it is curvatural because of increased curvature of lens or cornea that increases the refractive power and focuses the image in front of retina, as we have seen in the last picture, or it can be index more refractive power of lens. There can be nuclear sclerosis or hardening of lens at the center or hardening of corneal surface, and that leads to increase in the refractive power of these lens, and the image will be focused, or the light rays coming from distant object will be focused in front of retina. Or it can be a positional myopia in which congenitally the lens is placed anteriorly. It is not at its position, there is anteriorly placed lens, and that leads to a positional myopia, and the image will be formed in front of retina. And lastly, myopia might be due to excessive accommodation. So we have to ensure that ciliary muscles are completely relaxed. If there is excessive accommodation, person will be having headache, complaints of headache while viewing objects. After some time, he has to close his eyes because of the constant use of this ciliary muscles. So these are the few causes of myopia: genetic, refractional, axial, positional, and due to excessive accommodation. Now, what are the clinical features, or what are the presenting features? As we have seen, the person is not able to see the distant objects. He very clearly sees the nearby objects. The far point is at a definitive distance. Usually, for a normal emmetropic eye, the far point is at infinity. Person can see very far objects, but for these myopic person, this far point comes to a definitive distance of say 1 meter or 2 meter, depending on the severity of the refractive disorder. And the near point, it comes nearer. You must have seen myopic person bringing that book very close to their eyes and then reading. So the range of accommodation decreases because the far point comes nearby. The range of accommodation, far point minus near point, it decreases in myopic patients, and also the presbyopia gets corrected. You must have seen people who wear glasses for constant use. After certain age, what they do is, when they read the nearby object or they read a book, they take their glasses on their heads. They don't require. So because of the minus correction, this presbyopia gets corrected in these persons, and they get presbyopic glasses at later age because they get the plus and minus numbers gets neutralized. So myopic persons get presbyopic glasses at a later age. Say if a normal emmetropic person is getting a reading glass at the age of 42 to 45 years, then these persons may get it at the age of 48 or 50 years. Myopics gets presbyopic correction at a later age as compared to a normal emmetropic person. So these are the clinical features of myopia with which the patient comes to the doctor. Now, how do we correct this myopia? Very rightly, the diverging lens is used. The concave lens is used to correct the myopia. This is how myopia is corrected. Because the image was getting focused in front of retina, so what we want is, we want to diverge these rays so that they ultimately focus on retina instead of in front of retina. So a concave lens is given to correct myopia. Minus power is given. All those who are wearing glasses must be having a power of minus lens. Concave lens is used. Also, these days LASIK surgeries are done, which is laser assisted surgery of laser assisted correction of myopic. What happens is, what we do is, we flatten the cornea using the laser. So that is keratomiliosis. Flattening of cornea is done for treatment of myopia. But then again, LASIK surgeries has to be postponed till the age of late adolescent or adult age, so that the number doesn't keep on increasing. Because with advancing age, the size of eyeball also increases, and if it is done too early, then later on again the person will be having glasses. So LASIK surgery has to be done only after the age of 18 or so, when the refractive number of the person or the myopia of person gets constant. It is not an increasing stage. So LASIK surgery to flatten the cornea can be done, and use of concave lens, that is either the glasses or the contact lens, can be used for correction of myopia. Now coming to hyperopia or hypermetropia. So now this is just reverse of that myopia. What happens is, when the image, when person tries to see the nearby object, the image is formed, as we can see, the image is formed behind the retina. The light rays are focused behind the retina. So this diagnosis, to make this diagnosis is difficult because person can use its accommodation to focus the image on retina. The ciliary muscles can contract to bring back this image from back of retina in front of retina. For myopia, there is no physiological correction. Person has to wear glasses because ciliary muscles are as such relaxed. And by no means we can reduce the dioptric power of eye. But here, hyperopia diagnosis can be delayed if the person is using his accommodation, and the problem the person faces of hypermetropia is that of headache. Because of constant use of these ciliary muscles, there will be a constant headache because person is constantly using accommodation to focus this image from back of the retina to in front of retina. So this is hyperopia. Person, far vision is normal. Person can very well see the distant objects, but there is difficulty in viewing nearby objects because you can see on retina, these light rays are scattered. So nearby objects are blurred or they cannot be seen properly. They have to constantly use their accommodation. So the nearby objects are focused behind the retina, image is formed behind the retina. So they have to constantly use their accommodation, and the complaint with which the person comes is constant headache. Now, what is the cause of this hyperopia or hypermetropia or a farsightedness is again axial, refractional, positional, and fourth one is the aphakia. Aphakia means absence of lens. The crystalline lens is either congenitally absent or there is a surgical removal. Maybe because of cataract or some reason, there is surgical removal of this lens. Now what is the axial cause of hyperopia or hypermetropia is too short eyeball. The anteroposterior diameter of eyeball is short. That is why the image is formed behind the retina. Or there is less curvature of cornea or lens, or there is less power of the lens as seen in diabetic patients or in old age patients, or sometimes the lens is posteriorly placed or lens is not there at all. So these all reduces the dioptric power of the eye, and the person cannot focus the image of a nearby object on retina. On retina, the nearby object is focused in a blurred way and image is formed behind the retina. So how can we correct it? Is by again using a converging lens or a convex lens. Now what are the features of hyperopia? Far-sightedness or long-sightedness means the person can see the far objects very clearly, but for nearby objects they are having problem. They are constantly using their accommodation. So if they do near work for a long time, they will be having the complaint of headache. So instead of any viewing problem, these patients usually comes with the problem of headache, or because of constant use of these ciliary muscles, there can be hypertrophy of ciliary muscles and then blurring of vision because of fatigue of these ciliary muscles. So initially at young age they can accommodate, they can bring back that image from behind retina to the retina by using their ciliary muscles, but they will be having the problems of headache because of, so if they do a near work for a long time, they will be having these complaints of headache. Again, due to accommodation, because of prolonged convergence, there can be squint, which is commonly seen with hyperopic patients if they are left uncorrected. And also the near point moves farther away. We can see they keep the book at a distance and try to see it. They cannot focus from nearby place or from the near point, that is 25 centimeter. They have to keep the book at a distant place. And the presbyopia needs correction at early stage. As I have told you, a normal person, if the presbyopic glasses are coming at the age of say 42, for myopia it comes at around 48 to 50 years, and for hyperopia it comes even earlier. So they need presbyopic correction at an earlier age, say maybe 35 to 40 years of age, they need presbyopic corrections. Now how to correct this hyperopia is by use of a diverging lens or a concave lens. So the image which was forming behind the retina will now be forming, a converging lens is used, convex lens is used. So the image which was forming behind the retina is now focused in front of retina or on the retina to clarify the image. Or LASIK surgery can be done, laser assisted surgery can be done. Laser assisted in situ keratomeliosis. And here what you are doing is that you are steepening the curvature of cornea. So you are increasing the dioptric power of cornea so that the image which was initially forming behind the retina will now be forming in front of retina. This is the comparison of main three refractory errors. This is an emetropic eye where you can see the parallel rays coming from a distant object. The image is formed on the retina. It is focusing on the retina, that is the focal plane. For a hyperopic eye or hypermetropia or the farsightedness, the image formed by a nearby object is focused behind the retina. And for myopia, the image, or also you can very well appreciate the anteroposterior diameter. This is a normal eye, this is a short or a small eye, and this you can see is a big eye. Anteroposterior curvature of eye is more, so the image formed by a distant object, parallel rays coming from a distant object are focused in front of retina because of more curvature. So this is, you can see the comparison of these three conditions or how these refractory errors changes. Now we see what is astigmatism. As I have told you, what happens in astigmatism is due to uneven curvature of the lens or cornea, it is not absolutely spherical. It may be elongated vertically or horizontally. So the curvature in different planes is different. So the dioptric power which we are getting in different planes is different. So light that comes from different planes, they focuses at different points. You can see here, some lights is focusing on in front of retina, some light is focusing behind the retina, some might be focusing on retina. So because of different curvature of lens or cornea in different planes, light coming from different meridians focuses at different planes. So what happens is there is an irregular curvature in parts of cornea or lens which causes blurring of image. As all the lights are not focusing on retina, some are focusing, light gets scattered within the eye. So some are focusing in front of retina, some are focusing behind the retina, some are focusing on the retina. You can see there is scattering of light and this produces a blurring of image. How can we correct this This may be corrected by using a specially grounded cylindrical lens. So we have to give cylindrical lens of different powers in different axes. So here not only the power but axis is also important to diagnose so that we can pay, if we are seeing that in one particular plane this is having less dioptric power or less convergence is there, we can use a converging lens in that plane. So we should know the axis as well as we should know the power of that eye. And then we use the cylindrical lenses in different planes. Also we can go for LASIK surgery or laser surgery to correct astigmatism to make this curvature which is uneven uniform throughout. This is how you see this cylindrical lens is from a point source. The image is forming on one focal plane. Instead of getting scattered at different point, at least it is focusing on one plane. And if two lenses are placed at different axes, this image will be formed at one focal point and that clears the image. So this is how cylindrical lenses at different axes are used so that all the light rays coming from different planes are focused at one point on retina for clearing of image. This is an astigmatic dial. Many of you who are having cylindrical numbers, if you see this, you can see the crowding of these parallel lines. Actually, these are parallel lines, but those with cylindrical number or with astigmatism will found these lines converging and not parallel, and this is used to diagnose astigmatism. So as I have told you, for astigmatism we should know the power as well as the axis at which this power is required. In which plane you require converging or diverging lens is important. Now another important thing which I want to tell you is the contact lens. What we have seen is wearing of spectacles. Contact lens are very getting popular these days, and there are different types of contact lens. These lenses are glass or plastic material with the dioptric power required and that fits snugly against the anterior surface of cornea. Of course, the disadvantages are that it needs precautions. Glasses you can directly wear. This is a bit cumbersome to insert the lens, then to clean it. deproteinate it, and it requires special care. Then if this is lost, if these soft lenses, they get lost, for myopic persons to search them also is a problem. So contact lens has their share of problems. Then again, allergic conditions, because this is a foreign body in your eye, so it may produce allergic reactions. Sometimes if it is not cleaned properly, infections can be there. Hypoxia of cornea, corneal ulcers can be there. So there are different problems with these contact lens, but they are commonly used for correcting myopia, hypermetropia, astigmatism, even presbyopia, and especially for cosmetic reasons. You can have those colored lenses also to change the color of eyes, but then you have to see what are the advantages and disadvantages. In few conditions, the spectacles does not help, and only these contact lenses help because of the added advantage that these contact lenses are absolutely fit on the cornea. They tightly get fit on the cornea, and with movement of eyeball, they also move. So this provides a wide range of field of vision. With spectacles, you have a limited range. If you want to see, you cannot just rotate your eye. If you want to see laterally, you have to turn your head, because through glasses, you get a limited, जहां तक ग्लास है वहां तक का ही फील्ड ऑफ विजन मिलेगा. विद कॉन्टैक्ट लेंस यू गेट अ वाइडर फील्ड ऑफ विजन. Another advantage is it corrects the abnormal shape of the cornea, especially in cases of keratoconus, because now this lens is anteriorly placed, so cornea is no more the refracting surface, main refracting surface, and this lens, which is in contact with the air or in tight contact with the cornea, corrects that error of that shape of abnormal shape of cornea. So keratoconus is a condition in which glasses does not help. The person is asked to wear the lens so that the refraction by cornea minimizes, and now what correction we are getting is only through this contact lens. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of using contact lens. Now coming to the physiological errors of refraction. Spherical aberration, as we see, in this what happens is the edges of images are blurred. So what happens at the corner of the lens, you get different refractive power. In the center of the lens, you get different refractive power. So due to this change in the curvature at the center and the periphery, there is a spherical aberration. So the images of, edges of the image gets blurred in this condition. And this is a normal physiological condition which we all are experiencing. Another one is the chromatic aberration. That is different colored, different wavelength of light have different bending or different refraction. The particular lens is behaving in a different way for different colors of light. You can see this image, blue light is focusing in front, green at the back and red at the backmost. So this, if we are seeing the colored objects, the refraction of light is different for different wavelength, and this produces a chromatic aberration. So when a white light is there, different lights, if it is broken into a different spectrum of different wavelengths, then light ray waves focuses at different point. But these are physiological condition and does not need any correction. The third one is the diffraction, in which the whole medium or whole lens or whole cornea does not have a homogeneous composition. So what happens at places it is giving more power, more bending. At places it is giving less power, less bending. So there will be bending of light when it passes through sharp edges and border, and that again produces some sort of blurring. But these are physiological errors, and we all are experiencing, our brain is used to correcting this, so we don't need any correction for these optical aberrations, spherical and chromatic aberrations. Now how these refractory errors are diagnosed is by visual acuity. We must have visited ophthalmologist and seen that Snellen's chart which is there. So what is visual activity? It is the degree to which details and contours of an object are perceived by the eye. And the visual angle is the angle which is formed by this object, the edges of this object at the nodal point, and the minimum angle at which the two objects or two edges are perceived as separate is 1 minute of an arc, which has to be formed. Less than 1 minute of an angle cannot be perceived as separate by a human eye. Also, the minimum separable distance on retina or fovea is 2 micron. If it is less than 2 micron on retina, then it is perceived as single object only. What are the factors that affect visual acuity is the optical factors, means the refractive condition of your eye, the retinal factors, how your retina is behaving, and the stimulus factors like illuminance, contours or size of object, contrast of object, color of object and all that. So these are the factors which affect the visual acuity, and the distant vision is estimated by using a Snellen's chart. This you must have seen. Different sizes of letters are written on this chart. The biggest one is 660, means you are viewing this from 6 meter distance or a 20 feet distance. Normal vision is said to be 20-20, means from 20 feet the person can see this 20 letter. This is 36 meter letter. That means this can be seen by a normal person at a distance of 36 meter. This can be seen from 26 meter. So similarly, the distance keeps on increasing. The last line is, this line person should be able to see from 6 meters distance, and that is, if the person is reading this line, it is considered to be normal. And then accordingly, if they are having the refractory errors, it can be corrected. For near vision, reduced Snellen's charts or Jaeger charts or Roman charts, they are commonly used. Different charts are used, and this is how different refractory errors are diagnosed and they are treated by giving glasses. So this completes your refractory errors and its corrections. Thank you so much for your patient listening.